All right, guys, this is the episode you've all been waiting for. Today we're going to address the wiring in our 8th-gen Civic. How do we get our Civic LX or EX to run a K20? Welcome to VTEC Academy. You're about to get schooled. As you've seen in previous episodes, we put our K20 Type R motor into our Civic, 2007 Civic, and I made a little adapter harness in order to get that to run properly. So today I'm going to show you how to make that adapter harness. Now, we need to start off with some raw materials. You can actually buy these connectors new through Corsa-Technic. Although what I did is I just went down to the salvage yard and I basically cut out a harness from a 2008 Civic EX. On the engine side, I only cut just a couple of inches of wire, so just enough to grab hold of to pluck everything out. On the cabin side, I took about 8 inches of wire. That way I'm going to have a harness that's not quite as tight as this. I found out after I installed this in the car that it's actually kind of difficult to get it to sit where it needs to sit. So I'm going to try a new one with a little bit longer piece of wiring. Now, I have instructions that you'll be able to download from the website that show the pinouts from the back side of each of the harnesses. This is the cabin side and this is the engine side. And then down here we have instructions that tell you basically what wire you're going to move where. So I started off, this particular harness was automatic, so I wound up actually plucking a few of the automatic wires out. I had to add one wire in, that was for the backup lights, but all that is on this right here. I am going to show you real quickly how to depin it. So we're going to start off with the engine side right here. This comes with this junction connector. This right here has a bunch of bus bars in it, and what the bus bars do is it allows let's say one power wire coming in from the cabin side to then be distributed to the engine side for several powers. So that's one of the reasons we got to do the wiring difference, because the bus bars are used differently on the two. Anyway, once you take the bus bar off, you need to take this plastic shield off. It can be just pried off really easily. There's a couple of detents in here. Don't stab yourself like I have done all too often. That comes off. Then the wiring is actually pretty simple. If you look in here, you'll see metal, and on the let's see, the side where the clip is, there's actually a little plastic tab that you can reach in with your pick tool and flick it down, and once you do that, you can pull the wire out the back like that. So on the engine side, you're going to strip out all the wires, because that's where we're going to be placing all of our new wires. That plug is prepared. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to take our wiring diagram and just go across, starting at number 1, which is yellow, up this one right here for the backup lights. We're going to crimp a new terminal on that, and then we're going to put it into the back of our plug right here. We're just going to do them one at a time until they're all done. So here we go. You're going to need to get these terminal pins. You can buy them from Corsa-Technic. They are actually specific to this. There will be part numbers down below. These terminals come on a tree. They'll need to be trimmed off, and then we can crimp them all on. Now when you strip the wires, you're going to strip just about 3/16 of an inch of wire off, or insulator off. Then we're going to crimp that on there. I'm using these particular crimpers for doing this. These are Hosan P706 crimpers, and they have a nice array of very fine roll crimps here. They also have two very small round crimps. These particular pins are used without insulators. So the first part is roll crimped onto the wire. The second part is just kind of like a circular wrap crimp. And these Hosan crimpers actually have that. There'll be a note again in the show notes where to get it. So let me see if I can remember which ones I used to crimp. It is the 2.0 crimper. Got it? Yep, that's it. Now these are fairly thin crimpers, so it's a good idea to actually crimp twice on there because that's a little bit bigger than just one crimp will do. And then we're going to use the smallest of the round crimps to then pinch it down the wire. And now we have a proper crimp. Where we're going to insert it in is we're going to put it clip up, and then notice our number one is on the right side, so we're going to slide it over there on the right side. And it just goes in. If it doesn't clip in, try turning it over, slide it in, and it should snap into place. There we go. That is in. So next on to the next wire. So next one is number 4, or black yellow. So actually what I'm going to do real quick here so that we can kind of speed this up is I'm going to go ahead and crimp on all the terminals. Those are done. Now we get to the fun part. Number 4, black yellow, E side number 17. Next is white green number 8, goes into C101 number 8. 11, 12, and 13, those are the 3 middle ones. Those are all air conditioning. If you don't have air conditioning, then you don't need any of these. Number 16. We're down on the bottom row. That goes into position 16. 21 goes into position 21. 22 goes into position 22. And last, 23 goes into, you guessed it, number 9. Okay, you probably didn't guess it. All right, so now this is the harness adapted, but there's more to that. We actually need to add primary and secondary O2 sensor. By the way, if you're running a race car, you don't really need the secondary O2 sensor. It's just there to check to make sure your catalytic converter's running. And I'm assuming if you're running a race car, you're not running a catalytic converter. So you'll be able to skip the last 4 wires. But the next 4 wires are for the air-fuel ratio sensor. And I pre-cut some wires up here. Let's see. There are these right here. Red, yellow, red, green, and purple. Although I'm not colorblind, this is actually blue. I didn't have any purple, so we're going to substitute blue for purple. So on the one end, I'm going to need to crimp these same terminals that we've just been using onto here. On the other end, I'm going to need to crimp on terminals to put on this male pin O2 sensor plug. So hang on, we'll get to that in just a moment. Right now, we need to crimp on our new terminals onto these wires. Okay, those 4 crimped on. Red, yellow, since I'm using the SI colors. Engine side, C101, number 15. engine side. Let's see, get my yellow one in the upper right. 15, it's right there. Okay, there happens to be a plug in this one, so we're going to need to pull that out. The plugs are full of these little seals right here, and they go in all the empty spots on your harness normally. Now, these you can buy these through Corsa-Technic as well, so you can plug up the holes that are supposed to be plugged up. I have to say, honestly, don't bother, probably because I live in Arizona and we don't get that much rain, so I haven't had a problem with water getting into any of these plugs and causing a problem yet. Someday I might, and then I might change my mind how I do that. Next is green. Green is going to go in engine side C101 number 19. Green. 19, right under here. No plug in that one. All right, it's in. And last is our purple wire, or blue in my case, car side, which is going to be the other side, C101 number 9. So align that properly. Number 9 is directly below number 1. Alrighty. And that is for 102 sensor. This is the male O2 sensor plug. Here's one with its seal still in it. Let's see if we can find the seal. Should be sitting around here somewhere. Ah, right here. If you notice, the seal is buried way down in there, and you actually have to pry it out by sticking something in this little square opening at the base of it. I have here a pick tool from Gear Wrench. I'm hoping I'll be able to slide it in there behind it and pull it out by going in through the hole, kind of locking it in place and pulling it out. So the other one I was able to get out earlier with this tool, which has a little bit more complex bend on it. I didn't notice this tool. Let's try this one out. I think it might work better. One thing you have to watch out for when you do this is filling in this little connector somewhere where you'll never see it again. Okay, it worked for me by coming in and going down into it. That kind of dug into the plastic and I was able to pull it out. So I found a new way, and hopefully you can benefit. Again, Gear Wrench. These are a lot harder, by the way, than some of the other ones I've bought. And they're much more bend resistant, so I think they're pretty good. Okay, now to get the old wires out, you're going to look down in there, and with this side up, the clip side up, you're going to be able to slide in on top of the pin, lift a little retainer, and pull the wire out the back. Like that. Alrighty. It is cleaned out. Alright, we're going to slide our insulators on, then we're going to strip off about 3/16 of an inch of wire and crimp on the other parts. All right, those 4 are crimped on. Now we need to plug them into the plug. On a male plug, you're going to be numbering it like this, clip up, 1, 2, 3, 4. So left to right, top to bottom. So start off with our red, yellow. Let's see, number 1 is our red, yellow wire. So it goes in like that. As you're looking at the face of it, it goes in the top left. Next is our red wire. It goes in number 2. Number 3, green. Below our red yellow one. And last, our blue but should be purple wire. So again, once again, I'm recycling the insulators. I actually have new ones, but they're like, I don't know, 11 cents a piece, so what the heck. Might as well recycle them. Amount of time it takes. All right, so I'm gonna strip off, well, actually let's put the insulators on, then we'll strip off about 3/16 of an inch of wire. Now we're ready to crimp on the next one. You could take these instructions and actually rewrite them slightly to change the wiring in your car and just modify it as opposed to make an adapter. You'd still need the correct parts to do it, but you could actually eliminate the extra set of plugs if you just modified the plug that was already in the car. You of course are going to have to add wires for the O2 primary and secondary O2 sensor, but no more difficult than what we're doing here. So that's our secondary O2 sensor right here. Let's go ahead and plug those into our plug that we just stripped. So this is a male plug, so the numbers are 1, 2, 3, 4. Start off with our black wire in position number 1. And number 2 is our white red wire. And then number 3, right below the black wire, is our black white wire. And then number 4 is black yellow, the last one. All right, that one's now wired. Now we need to crimp on the other end our female pins that are all going to go into the connector. All right, so I've trimmed them all to equal length. I'm going to strip them all now. And now crimp them. Again, use the 2.0 L to crimp the main part, and then there's a small 1.8 millimeter circular crimp down at the base. Again, these are Hosan P706s. Hosan, by the way, there used to be a wiring kit you could buy from Honda, and they had something called a super crimper, and it was a crimping tool that you could buy. Unfortunately, it's not available anymore, and it was made by the same company here. It took me a long time to find it. Anyway, so we've got those done. Now what we need to do is we need to add those into our C101 plugs. Let's start off with our white red one. White red one goes in C101 number 23 on the engine side. So we find our engine side, 23 is down there in the corner. We marked them, engine side. 23 is below 8, so right there, down there in the corner. Again, the white red one. Let's look for our next one, black white. Engine side again, C101 number 18. 18 is engine side. 18 is, let's see, that was 23 we just did. It's on the opposite end of that 4 wire position. So Easy enough to find. Oh, we got to pull seal out of there. Black, white, number 18. Okay, that one's connected. Next we have our black yellow. That's going to go on the car side. This is the other side. And that one is number 6, so that's going to be on the top row. Opposite our number 1 wire, it should be the yellow wire. Wire 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This one right there, black yellow. Alright, push all the way until it clicks in. Car side, 1, 16, 17, 18, 19. Once again. 16, 17, 18, 19. Pull a insulator. It's in. We have our harnesses done now. Put a little tape on them, tape it all up. Okay, so there we have it. They're a fairly neatly organized adapter harness. We have our primary and secondary O2 sensors here. Probably a good idea to mark which one is which so that you don't confuse them. We'll put an A for the air-fuel ratio sensor. And a number 2 for our secondary. Now we know which is which. And with this, and reinstalling the seals here, we now have our harness that we can plug in to our LXCX car, and it will run our K20. So I hope I didn't put you to sleep. I know I put the cameraman to sleep. Anyway, thanks guys for joining me for another episode of VTEC Academy. I'm going to go work on my my car and change the motor out so I can get it running. Anyway guys, we'll see you soon for another gripping episode of Wiring with Brian. And thanks for joining me.